Greetings, good people. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since my last video. I do apologize, but I have been very busy in the creative zone. I've got some new music coming out on Friday, February 7th, and I've also got a bunch of new presentation content which is being edited into video at the moment, about 6 hours worth. So there's a lot in the pipeline. And yeah, things are going well behind the scenes. But yeah, I thought I'd do a video today because I got news last night that someone I knew when I was young had passed away, as an elderly gentleman who was very influential in my early life. His name was Harry, and he taught me music. Really, I guess from pretty young age. I mean, maybe as young as like primary 3 or so. I was getting piano and keyboard lessons, and he just had a really infectious energy with music. You know, the way he played was, he put so much like fun and dynamic into the music that it just, you know, just really made you want to learn and understand how it all works. And you know, I practiced, you know, keyboard and piano through my younger years, and then when I was a bit older and I got a computer, I just started, you know, making beats and music on the computer, and I just kind of took to it like a fish to water. And you know, it's largely because of the work that I did with Harry, you know, teaching me how to play and how to use keyboards and synths and stuff. And this obviously became a really big part of my life. I practiced music ever since. You know, there was never a time when I'm not working on music and learning and practicing. It's just been, I've done it my whole entire life since my earliest memories. And you know, he was my music teacher, because after that I just became self-taught. You know, everything I learned after that was basically self-taught or just learning with friends. So yeah, but the other thing that was interesting is he was also psychic. He was, you know, he had extrasensory perception and knowledge of the spirit world, and he would teach me all about that and like how that worked, and the work that he did, like clearing people's houses of bad spirits and all this kind of thing. And yeah, just so many stories of supernatural encounters. Was amazing, really inspiring. And so I grew up with all this knowledge of the supernatural or the spirit world, which I'd received from him, as well as the music knowledge. And then at school, I didn't really see him much after I went to secondary school, maybe just once or twice. I obviously pursued a path of science. Now, there was this uneasy feeling that started to develop as I got further along in science, and it was this completely like anti-spiritual worldview that's like at the core of science. This idea that science has superseded or debunked all spiritual traditions and all religions, and just all of that is just complete nonsense. You don't need any of it. And you know, don't be a fool, boy. Don't be a fool believing in ghosts and spirits and all that nonsense, right? It's like, that's, you know, that's the scientific indoctrination. And so I was being programmed with that while I was at school and university, of course. And I didn't like it. You know, I thought, surely the spiritual world is like the most important thing that science needs to look at. And so I became obsessed with this idea of spirit science. I wrote an album, I called it Soul Science, for example, just trying to like bring together the knowledge of spirit and the knowledge of the physical world, because they've been kind of polarized into these like opposing camps, but they're both part of reality equally. And it reminds me of there's an old alchemical dictum, which is coincidentia oppositorum. coincidence of opposites, right? And it's like a mental training exercise where you have to be able to hold two opposing or contradictory ideas in your mind at once without, without buckling, without getting angry or whatever. It's like you got to be able to look at the two opposing contradictory ideas from a neutral point of view. And then what happens when you can hold them in your consciousness, you start to see that they're actually both part of they're both just opposite sides of another viewpoint that you can now perceive. It's like a kind of a mental weight training type exercise. And so I was always doing that when I was learning science, because I had, on the one hand, this belief in the spirit world, and on the other hand, I'm learning all this materialist science, and I'm having to hold them in my mind simultaneously. And so I just became really interested in spirit science, and this ultimately led me to things like shamanism, psychedelics, and ultimately to alchemy, which just started to really click. Alchemy, when I found it, was just like, I was like, here it is, this explains it, this brings it together. It's the physical world and the spiritual world. And then you start to realize, well, yeah, there's been this whole sort of grand conspiracy to push the spirit out of science, and this is what we get now. So when we go to learn science, we get this soulless, spiritless, godless science, and they say things like the science, with general relativity and quantum physics, for example, they say, they're brilliant theories, but something is missing. Something's missing from the theory. Well, yeah, spirit, soul, God, creator, all these things, love, all missing from their theories, you see. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that. I'm learning a lot about myself at the moment and how I became the man I am, and I owe a lot of it to this man Harry, who was a great teacher and has clearly been very influential in my life. So thank you, Harry. Rest in peace.